Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is BroncoJuggalo, and I am here once again with a very special guest. Today we have from Friday the 13th, A New Beginning fame, Ms. Deborah Sue Voorhees. Please give her a big hand for those of you that can give hands on an online interview. A New Beginning fame, Ms. Deborah Sue Voorhees. Always have to have one little technical issue every interview. Never fails. So how are you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing terrific. Thank you very much for having me on.
Hey, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to do this. I know you've got a lot of things going on right now, and it's a huge honor for me as a fan.
Well, thank you.
I'm going to ask some questions, guys, of Ms. Voorhees, and then I will, if she wants to, we will open it up to you guys at the end of the chat. Do me a favor, keep your questions as always respectful. Be cool to everybody in the chat, and let's just have a good time. This is my first interview with anybody from the Friday the 13th franchise, with the exception of Vincent DeSanti, who is a pseudo with the franchise because of the fan film Never Hike Alone.
Right.
And I know you did some work with them as well, and I do have a question about that later.
Okay.
The first thing I wanted to ask you, though, is you were born in Amarillo, Texas, and you kind of live in the general area, same area around the general area that I do. What made you choose to do that instead of going the Hollywood route, instead of staying that Hollywood lifestyle?
Well, I did go to Hollywood for a while. I went to LA for a period of time. But then after I spent some time in LA and worked as an actor, then I came back to Texas and got my degree in journalism, became a long-time journalist. I mean, this is a long question because I was a journalist for a very long time with the Dallas Morning News, the Fort Worth Star Telegram, and then I went on to teach. And after teaching for a while, I came to New Mexico, and a whole lot of other stuff happened in between. And New Mexico to me is just, it's called the land of enchantment for a reason. It's just an amazing place. Oh, what I meant to say that it's really, really super hot, very uncomfortable. There's mountain lions everywhere, rattlesnakes everywhere. Stay away. Don't come. That's what I meant to say.
It's been a hot summer.
I mentioned how ugly it is. We have nothing like mountains and trees and stuff. Nothing but desert. Go away.
You know, every time my father talks about New Mexico, he calls it a burnt over piece of brown dirt.
There you go.
So that's what you get for living in Utah.
Well, I like New Mexico better.
As you mentioned, you've done quite a bit of things. As you said, you were a journalist, a teacher. You have been an actress, a writer, not just for movies, but you wrote a novel. That's what I thought. You wrote a novel. That's awesome.
Right.
You've been a producer. You've
director,
helped with soundtracks, a director. You basically just about wore every hat there can be worn. Out of all of those jobs, everything you've done throughout your whole, adult life, what of those jobs is the most fulfilling for you? Is it the directing or the acting, or is it the teaching?
Director. No competition. Absolutely, hands down. And I'm sorry, I have a very naughty dog asking to come in. Do you mind if I grab him?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Guys, thank you all very much for joining us today. We definitely appreciate it.
If I thought for 2 seconds she would wait and stop barking, I would have let her wait, but she wouldn't. And it would just be an irritant in the background. So my apologies. Yes, absolutely. Directing is absolutely, there is no other job that comes anywhere close to directing for me. All of the other aspects of filmmaking, I like being a part of. With 13 Fanboy, I'm a co-writer on it. Right. I was the lead writer, and then producing, I was a co-producer on it. All of those are great jobs, and honestly necessary. Otherwise, it's kind of hard to make a movie without a script and without producing it. However, directing is the most fun.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's the most demanding too. It's really tough.
I was going to say it's got to be a lot tougher than just being in front of the camera and being told what to do and how to do it than being the one telling everybody how to do things.
Well, first of all, a really good director is going to give some leeway to the actors. The first thing I do when an actor comes on set is I leave them alone, and I let them show me what they have. And if it's not what I want or better than what I want, then or what I need, if it's something that I very specifically need to get a plot point across, then I will start working with the actor and talking with them and stuff. And I try to keep an open communication. So I want them to say to me, I was thinking about this or this. And I will usually, unless something's just so far off base, I will usually say, let's try both, because very often you find some real gems where you didn't expect to find them. And sometimes it doesn't work out, and that's no big deal. The hardest part of any scene is getting it set up with lighting and everything. And once all that's done, you can take a little bit of time to work through some stuff. There's times when, especially like if it's a smaller role or something, it's just like, no, I need you to be this character and I need you to move with this. But the lead characters or pivotal points or something like that, I try to always give actors some room. It's a matter of showing them respect. And yes, in a lot of ways, being the director, it is absolutely the most demanding job on set. However, being an actor is still an incredibly difficult job. And I would even say the most difficult, especially if you're in a leading role or something like that, because the demand on you to be natural and be natural over and over again in different camera angles and cuts and this and that is very, very difficult to do, and can be stressful. So my hats are always off to the actors.
I actually appreciate that. I'm an amateur actor myself, and I've done stuff since college, from stage to, and I've even been in a few movies. And when I have a director who's told me, this is what I want, but go ahead and do what you got to do, and I feel so much better. I've done a whole monologue, a 5-10 minute monologue, completely just off the cuff.
Right.
Do what I and that's right. So it is cool when you have that freedom. It is really
right. Right. You've got to give everybody a chance, because you don't know what they're going to bring to it. I don't personally like to say what I'm looking for until after that you do your first. And, I expect you, when you come on set, you do your first one, you need to be on the ball, ready to go, and doing the character as you see it.
Right.
If it works for me, great. We keep going. If it doesn't, then we'll have that conversation. But I don't sit there and give notes until after the first. Now, if you don't bring your A game to the first, I'm going to be giving you very specific instructions.
Right. I definitely understand that. You have a professional job doing. If you're coming, especially if you are the lead or something, you need to be on point. You need to have your lines down. I mean, or whatever that needs. If it is an improv line, you need to be able to deliver that with some.
Right.
Whatever the situation happens to be.
Right.
Now, as horror fans, of course, for us, at least until 13 Fanboy gets released, your biggest contribution for the most of us has been Friday the 13th Part 5.
Right.
New Beginning. You played Tina. And I've got a few questions about, your experiences there and that sort of thing. Okay. I would like to know your favorite parts of doing that, or your favorite part of that filming process, your least favorite part. And I have a very funny question from a friend. Is it really true that they did not tell you guys you were going out for a Friday the 13th movie?
Initially, early on, they didn't say anything, but I definitely knew by the time I was on set. And I actually think I knew by the time, it's been a while, so I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I knew I was a Friday the 13th film by the time I was at my third interview. It was my third audition. So, I honestly, I don't have any like least favorites of anything. That just doesn't exist. Working as an actor is some of the most fun you can have. You get to be a full grown adult playing a kid's game of make believe. And I don't know, is there anything more fun than that? Than to be able to make believe and pretend that you're someone else that you're not and carry on. So, I've always loved every moment on a film set. I've been on several, and honestly, I can't think of any that I didn't enjoy thoroughly. And, Friday the 13th, of course, is very special. It was a neat experience that I wouldn't trade for anything, not even a teaching job.
And I read a quote from you that talked about your time teaching and what happened there and how fulfilling it was for you. And I really think that's awesome. And I also read that you taught over at ENMU for a little bit.
I did. I did a couple of acting classes for them. And I definitely enjoyed doing that. I really enjoy working with actors. I like seeing an actor take a piece and watch them evolve and find new meaning in the text and bringing something new to it. So very much enjoy that.
With your experiences on Friday the 13th, and with what you're telling me now that you enjoyed every bit of it, over the years, there has been a lot of talk about how troubled and how, I'm just going to say, controversial the shoot was. Was there a lot of that in your experience? Or was it,
most everything that's talked about for my particular shoot is pure fiction. So how it started, I have no idea other than somebody just, was looking for some good free advertising, but yeah, no, I mean, it's a Paramount film, it's a job. There is nothing controversial happen on set.
That's cool. That's really good because there's so much you read and as fans, we don't, it's just like in the music business or the film, there's that, that curtain, and I always say, don't peek behind it. Cause you really, but those of us that are interested in really like in the film industry and, we dissect it, we review it. We love to see everything that goes on behind the scenes. We don't like hearing when there's bad. Some, at least the ones that are really interested, don't like hearing that there's bad things happening.
Right.
You want to see your favorite films to be Alice in Wonderland, not, Dante's Inferno.
Right.
Your death scene, as horror fans, your death scene is the fifth movie in the franchise was very well known for its kills and its deaths.
Right.
Your particular death scene is a cutaway death.
Right. Which is really interesting. This actually ties into your last question. That's one of the things that they said was that the MPAA rating system eliminated the actual penetration of the shears. That's completely pure fiction.
Oh, okay.
To do that, they would have had to make me a full head and have the shears go to actually see them go in. There always were a cutaway. And I still have fans that swear they saw the shears go through my eyes.
It's your mind. It's your mind.
The mind continues the action even though they didn't actually see it. Maybe they go like this and they see it go through. I don't know, but it's interesting. And I don't know how that one started because there was never a head made.
Right.
So it's interesting. I guess maybe it's like a game of telephone. Somebody says one thing and it just keeps going until it's this crazy, insane, different version of what happened.
Right. And, when you're watching it, you're laying there on the blanket looking up and you react to the shears. So did they actually stand over you and like hold the shears, or is it just the
No,
camera
we
looking
did
at you?
not.
It's just
Um,
the camera?
There was just actually a guy there, and with a sweet smile. It was like, "Hey, give me something, honey."
Like, come on, you're supposed to pretend I'm some crazy guy. Scream.
Right.
You know, and the after effects, the after shot where you're laying there and you got the make or the, you know,
Mhm.
that was you. That was you under the
That
prosthesis.
is. Mhm.
And was that kind of uncomfortable on your eyes, or was it? Or did they just
Well, the mask itself wasn't too bad. Coming off, it hurt a little bit, but the hardest part was when they put the blood in and it seeped in a bit, and so it burned, and so my eyes were burning pretty good for quite a while. And but that's okay. I mean, you know, it's all part of the story, all part of
Was
what
it
happened.
Bugler that worked on the special effects on 5? Was it John Carl?
No, not that I can. I don't. Let's see. I know I'll recognize the name the second I hear it. I can see his face. I can't think of the name right now.
Because I know every special effects guy has their own, you know, own
Mhm.
blood mixture, and I've heard
Right.
some people say it burns. I have my own as well, and my friend Dave Maggot, who's a director, he has his own, and it's everybody's got their own mixture.
Right.
So the first film that well, at least that I found out that I know that you wrote and directed, the first full length film
Hmm.
was Billy Shakespeare.
Right.
And I actually haven't seen it yet. I didn't know you
Mhm.
did that movie. I had seen a trailer for it
Right.
like 2014, and I knew it said Voorhees Films,
Right.
but I didn't realize that it was you, as in Deborah Voorhees. I thought somebody just took the name from Jason, or I
Right.
didn't know it was your film.
Right.
It's I've watched the trailer again recently, and I'm going to watch the movie because the trailer looks hilarious.
Oh, thanks.
And so,
That was my first film. I have written several other screenplays before that, but this one was kind of a what if comedy. What if Shakespeare never existed until now? And I consider Billy Shakespeare to basically be my film school. It was my first film, and I started from scratch working on writing, producing, and directing, and editing, and putting it all together. And I learned a lot, made a lot of mistakes, and I'm grateful for every single mistake I made because I learned so much. You learn so much by, your mistakes. But yeah, but it was a lot of fun. I really love the film. It's kind of very offbeat, not something I think the general public would really go for, but it's a lot of fun for me because I'm a Shakespeare geek. So,
I'm a big Shakespeare fan myself.
oh, cool.
I found that I had a English teacher in ninth grade.
Mhm.
She refused to let freshmen do Shakespeare because she said we would butcher it.
Ah! Everybody butchers Shakespeare the first go around, so you just got to live with it.
When you were working on that, I'm sure you had to have been nervous. I mean, it was your very first directing role, so I mean, there had to have been some nerves there.
Not really, no. When you jump off the cliff, there really isn't time to be nervous. You just got to get the job done.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean, think about that. Anytime you've been in really difficult situations and you're having to move very quickly and get something done, it just doesn't exist. Even if you're in a situation where your physical body is in peril, there's no time for fear. The only thing you can do is get through it.
Right.
And that's where your concentration is. So yeah, no, it wasn't really at all. You didn't think so?
Yeah, I definitely can understand the sentiment behind that. It's very, very common. I think once you get started, you just kind of go with it. And it's just kind of there. Either you roll or you don't. So
Right, exactly. It's and I knew it was going to be a huge learning process, and I'm proud of what we did with it, and if I did it again, I would definitely make a lot of changes, but yeah, no, I love the concept and everything. So
I was reading on it when I was, boning up for this interview. I was reading on
Mhm.
it, and it says that it is a LGBTQ movie. Was
Mhm.
that an intentional thing on your part, or did it just kind of wind up there like people did with the Babadook?
I wouldn't consider it that. I mean, it does deal with that issue, but it's
Mhm.
really dealing with, what Shakespeare was in, because there were questions about his sexuality,
Right.
and especially with the sonnets. Was he in love with a young man?
Mhm.
Yes, he definitely had many dalliances with women. Was he bisexual? Was he
Mhm.
gay? Was he straight? What was he? And so I took a lot of what was historically true about Shakespeare, and used that for my plot points. And I
Right.
used a lot of Shakespearean language. The whole thing is peppered with it, particularly his speech. Sometimes I would just take the words and put together completely new sentences. Sometimes I would take a very well-known phrase, and then turn it on its head a little bit. Sometimes I would take full, complete Shakespearean sentences and switch them around for new meanings in with other ones. So I was taking from, I don't think there's a play that I didn't use something from for it.
And I saw that too in the trailer. Whenever he would talk, it was very Shakespearean language,
Right,
whereas when other people were talking, it was just normal contemporary speech.
right. And the way I did that is that he was obsessed with Elizabethan England. And so he spent a lot of time with that type of dialogue, reading it and learning about it.
So now from what I understand, you just finished on 13 Fanboy, or at least
Well,
production.
the production was finished quite a while ago, and then we were slowed down with COVID. But right now, I'm working on getting deliverables for our distributor. And I can't say too much about that right now, because we don't have anything really solidified yet, on dates and stuff. But I hope to in another week or two.
And see, that seems to be a question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Oh, no, that's
There's a slight delay in our thing there.
oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, it's not you. It's the system.
Mhm, mhm.
That's the way it goes. I've noticed some of the trend that's been in just about all of my interviews with everybody that does anything in entertainment. The pandemic really messed things up for everybody. It really did.
Mhm. In some
Um,
ways, but I really believe that many good things came from this pandemic.
mhm.
As difficult and as hard as it was, and I can't even imagine being one of the people who lost a family member or a friend or something. I did lose a friend in it, but it's there were still good things that came. Yes, I think on the outside world, there was a lot of fighting and ugliness and anger and politicizing it in ways that I find completely mind boggling, that we could politicize a virus.
I agree on it.
It's that's pretty insane. That should be nothing but us all coming together and working and helping and loving each other. But I think when you get beyond the headlines and realize how people really were working and they were doing those things, and if those things were put out there, we would have felt like it was a completely different scenario. And then if you also look at the vaccine that's come out, it's a whole new type of vaccine that may very well conquer things like cancer and various autoimmune disorders and stuff like that, that could be absolutely brilliant. So as difficult as the whole thing was and how tragic it was, I have never seen a tragedy that beauty can't come out of.
Right.
Even if it's just people coming together to help each other. There's a true beauty in that. And so I can't really say that it affected us negatively. For all we know, we might, since we can't run it two ways, we can't release a film without the pandemic versus with the pandemic. It might even work out better now. I don't know, because I can't run it both ways. Do you see what I mean?
Most definitely. And also, to your point, what you talked about with, you think there's some good that can come out in the way people, I think that very much on a media level and on a social media level,
right,
we saw the absolute worst in humanity coming out.
Right, absolutely.
But you being from, the general area here in New Mexico, there are some small town areas. I live in a small town. I live in Moriarty. I have no problem telling people that people in communities found ways to help each other and work together. Now, there were exceptions, of course. There was people that were scared, and there was some people that were really political, like you said. But for the most part, people did come together on a human level.
Right.
But then we turn on our TVs or on our computers and our Twitters, and somebody like myself, and I got completely discouraged watching.
Right. It was discouraging watching that. I had to kind of push away from it, because I knew that wasn't the way that we need to be. We didn't need to be backbiting and stabbing and being ugly to our neighbor just because they believe things differently. And sadly, there were so many lies put out there about the virus.
From all sides of it.
Yeah, it was just catastrophic. It was just catastrophic the way that it was treated. It was and continues to be a really horrific virus. Right now, those who are still in the hospital, it's less than 1% has had any type of the vaccine at all. And, if you get the vaccine, more than likely that teeny tiny percent that's in there probably had it before the vaccine or weren't fully vaccinated. Right. So I'm just hoping that people will realize and take care of themselves, because, the new variant that is here now it's not going to affect those of us that are vaccinated, but it could very well kill people who aren't.
Right. And I got the vaccine, so did my wife. We both got it because I have some health issues I got to watch out for. Right. But honestly, I never really was that worried about getting it. I've always had a strong immune system, even with my health issues. But it was kind of like, it's one of those things where this is our life. This is humanity. Right. It's our life. These things happen. A few years ago, you'll remember maybe, they made a big deal out of swine flu and bird flu and SARS and all the. There's something every few years that comes along. Now, this one was pretty bad, but
this was much worse than any of those.
When you compare it to like the Black Death that swept across Europe or something, I mean, at least we have modern technology now.
But if you look at early on the results from this, we might have been closer to the the Spanish flu or the Black Plague. Right. I mean, the Black Plague took out half, but the people, I know a lot of people in the medical industry, and we're working frontline workers. And plus I also keep up to date on what's going on. But very early on, before they started to figure out how to really tackle this, those who were going into the hospital and putting it on ventilators, they were losing 80 to 90% depending on the hospital. It was because they were trying to treat it like it was pneumonia, and that was failing disastrously. So
they almost killed me at Presbyterian treating me for pneumonia.
I mean, I just have to give great respect for all the medical people who jumped in there to try and figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah, they really did come together,
and they did. They started the survival rates increased immensely after they started, changing how they were doing it.
And I feel really bad for those people that did pass away and for their families that couldn't be with them.
Right.
My father got cancer during all this, and we weren't able to be with him during that. But luckily, he was able to. He had his surgery and his radiation, and he's getting better. Or he will get better.
Good.
You know, so I'm also glad, though. I'm very glad to hear that you were able to still get some work done.
Yeah, we were working during that time on editing. So it slowed us down on releasing, but the editing it didn't, because, you know, that's a very small group. So.
Right. So I have to ask this. I was looking over, and I've been watching the progress of 13 Fanboy since I heard about it, which was about, I don't know, I'd say I heard about it probably 7-8 months ago.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, this is awesome. We're getting another. I mean, I'm a huge, gigantic fan of Never Hike Alone.
Oh, good. It's a great film, isn't it?
I think, oh my God, that guy needs to be directing. When they start up the franchise again, they need to be knocking on his door.
Right.
And probably yours too, once I see your film. But the casting, your cast is a literal who's who of Friday the 13th actors.
Right.
So I mean, you've got
Dee Wallace of Halloween.
Yeah, you've got Dee Wallace from Halloween, which I know you can. I don't know if you can see the Myers masks up there, but that's my favorite franchise.
Oh, is it up there?
You know, there's 3 of them up there.
Oh, I can see them. Cool.
I'm just starting to put this room together. I just started working on this room.
Nice.
But you have Dee Wallace from Halloween. You have Kane Hodder, he's actually here this weekend doing the con in Albuquerque, and unfortunately, because we had some car issues, I wasn't able to go. I wanted to go because I really wanted to meet him.
He's come. It's this weekend?
It's Saturday and Sunday. This
oh, that's so cool.
I was hoping to be there, but we had some issues with our vehicles and I couldn't make it. I wanted to meet him because he's actually my least favorite Jason.
Oh, really?
I wanted to tell him that. And I wanted him to insult me see if I could get him, like, just ask him, hey, are you cool? Because he's real cool with fans. I know. I was like, would you mind doing me a favor and just insulting me on camera so I could put it on my channel? Just for fun, you know? But I mean, I love him in so many other things, but as Jason, he's always been my least favorite. My favorite was CJ Graham. And then I love Derek Mears. I absolutely love him. I think he was a great Jason. I think Vincent DeSanti was a great Jason. You know, of all of these big talents you have, you got Corey Feldman, you have Vincent DeSanti, you have Andrew Lady, I believe is how you pronounce it. I can never say it right.
We have Judy Aronson. We have she's from part 4. Tracy Savage from part 3.
Right.
We have Ron Sloan from 5. Myself, I'm in it. I'm from part 5.
And you got
Carol Locatel. She did a cameo.
Okay.
Let's see. Jennifer Benko. She was the young Tina in part 7, and then we had Lar Park Lincoln, who was the final girl from part 7 as the adult version, and of Tina, and which is kind of funny because my character role was Tina, Jennifer's was Tina, and Lar Park Lincoln was Tina. So,
and then in Halloween you got a couple Tinas. That's a pretty popular horror name.
Very popular horror name.
Out of all of those people and the great talent you have, who was it you couldn't get? That's what I want to know. Who was it you couldn't get? Just maybe because either they passed on or because they weren't available. Who was it you would have loved that you couldn't get?
You know, I am incredibly happy with the cast that I have. So I am perfectly, I couldn't have asked for anything better. I did approach Adrian. Yeah, I did approach Adrian King to do a role, but you probably know she had a stalker in real life. And the topic was a little too close to home for her.
Yeah, I love I can't wait to watch this movie because that's just an intriguing concept because it does happen.
Right. It does. And in fact, Judy Aronson was stalked. Lar Park Lincoln was stalked, and so is Adrian King. So, and
you look at what's happened in real life with certain celebrities. John Lennon killed by his biggest fan. Selena killed by the president of her fan club. I mean, it's crazy what people do out of this twisted. They put a character more than the person, I think, on a pedestal.
Right. And so they never really get to understand that that's a human being, not a cartoon character.
Right.
You know?
And I think that's why I love doing YouTube so much. I'm very much the person you get on camera is the person you get at home. That's me.
Right.
Now I go by BroncoJuggalo, but that's been my nickname since I was like 16.
Oh, really? Okay.
I've had that nickname for 20 some years. I mean, I'm almost 40. And by the way, I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart for making a 16-year-old boy's dreams come true all the time.
You're welcome.
I was told not to tell you that, but I'm just like that sometimes. Sometimes
I've heard it a few times.
Open. My wife was like,
I'm pretty easygoing about that.
Well, I've heard like some people say, I don't want to talk about that, and that's fine. And but I
don't care.
It was lifetime. It's our lives. It's what it was.
Right. I actually, I'm probably very different than, a lot of people, and I'm sure other people feel this way, but I consider it an honor because for a lot of young boys, I mean, it's an incredibly exciting time in a young boy's life, the first time they see a naked woman. And I don't know, I feel honored that to be a part of so many young men's lives. So I know that that's probably not how most people, I mean, they kind of like, I know a lot of people have stepped back and, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. And I'm like, yeah.
And I think that's our society today saying, it's so funny. And I don't want to get at all political or anything like that, but so many things are pushed one way or the other. And then some things are like, okay, no, let's not talk about this. But it's like, okay, when I was young, there was a reason why at the time, when I was younger even, why the Return of Jedi was one of my favorites. It was Princess Leia in the steel bikini. I mean,
right.
It wasn't just Darth Vader and Luke battling it out, which I love, but we are human beings. We have these parts of ourselves that do get explored one way or the other, and it is what it is. And I don't think it's something that we need to be ashamed of.
No, absolutely not.
I do think it's something that I don't think 4, 5, and 6-year-olds need to be concerned with. They should be concerned with playing and having fun.
Right.
That's up to them and their parents. That's their business.
Right.
So I have to ask what the inspiration was for 13 Fanboy. I mean, of course, Friday the 13th. I mean, of course.
Right.
But what made you want to write this particular story about these characters, about the Friday the 13th mythology,
right?
And adding the human element into it, your own character into it, your own almost like autobiographical like, yeah.
I know what you mean. It's okay.
Autobiographic, in a fictionalized way, of course. But what inspired this? What made you want to do this?
Well, initially, I was talking with my producing partner. His name's Joel Paul Rysick. Really neat guy. I really have enjoyed working with him. He and I were talking about doing a different project together. And but then he asked me about what it was like going to horror conventions. How are horror fans? Are they? He's thinking, because he hasn't been. Are they like scary or what? And I'm like, oh no, not at all. I mean, they're just like a bunch of big kids, and I mean that in the most kind way possible. I'm a big kid. I don't want to be anything but a big kid. I have no intention of fully growing up. I'm 59 and I don't care about growing up at all.
Me either.
Yay. Let's high five that one. Yep. Doom. But then I said, look, horror fans, just think of them as a bunch of grown-up kids who like to dress up for Halloween, who love seeing how the kills work and this sort of thing. And I said, I really haven't had, at a horror convention, anything weird or scary. I said, they're all just so sweet and respectful. And considering my particular role being naked in it, I kind of expected people to be disrespectful. In fact, I found it to be quite the opposite, incredibly respectful. In fact, I would say that they worked even extra hard to be respectful. And I thought, oh, this is so nice, because I was kind of prepared. I wasn't really looking forward to it, but I thought, oh, okay, this is just life, you know, but I really didn't experience that. And so, but he said, well, has anything weird happened? And I said, well, there are a couple times I got a little creeped out.
Yeah.
And one of them was when somebody sent me a note on Facebook that said, wouldn't it be cool if you died in real life like you did in Friday the 13th? And not on my top list to be brutally murdered.
Right.
Garden shears through the eyes.
In the movies, sure, but not in real life.
That's just fun silliness.
Right.
You know, everybody's just having fun, and it's playing with make-believe blood. It's not real.
That actually ties into my final question for you, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. And so, and then I had another one that came to my personal phone that was a little more troubling to me, because it was my personal phone versus Facebook.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I was working in my office. It was dark outside, and I had double door balcony. So it was pitch black out there. And basically somebody said he was watching me, which from where I was sitting, it's possible, because I didn't have drapes drawn or anything like that.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. So
I'm hoping it was just a friend messing with you or something.
Probably. It could have been, or, you know, a fan messing with me or something.
Somebody got your number.
I was actually working on writing a film script. And when that happened, and it was a series of quick texts, and basically the texter was pretending to be Jason, and that there was the intent to kill. And so on both occasions, I blocked the people, and that was the end of it. So it was just a joke, which I didn't find very funny. And but Joel was like, that's our movie.
That's
I'm
a
like,
movie.
oh, hell
That's
no, that's scary real life shit. No, thank you. But after I thought about it for several nights, I thought, you know, if that scares me, I can scare other people. This is my story. This is our story. And so Joel and I spent the next 3 months creating a very in-depth 30-page outline that had every single scene and everything mapped out on where we were going. And then I took it for, you know, 98% of the rest of the script and took it that way. Of course, we bat it back and forth and talked about certain scenes and stuff. But it made it so much easier having that outline. Anybody out there trying to write? Don't do it without an outline. It was my first time to do it with an outline, and it's so much faster, so much easier to do the script if you do it that way. And frankly, it just takes a little bit more discipline. Be disciplined, use it, do it. I'll never do it another way again.
That's awesome. And that's a great tip thank you for that, because I'm actually working on something myself. I've done a few shorts, and I want to do a feature length. And it's going to be a very unique project because it's going to be all remote filming. All
right. I'll give you one more tip. Before you start writing the script, and if you already have, push it away for a minute and make sure you have your beginning, really solid, know your beginning and know your end. So you know what tracks you need to go to get to the end. If you do not know your end before you start writing, you will start down the wrong road and it'll be harder. So know those two, then start filling in the blanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I have this idea based on my own experiences because, oh, by the way, if you ever need a security person, I was law enforcement for 15 years.
Nice.
I'm a certified marksman. You just call me. I'll come on down. We'll take care of you, you know.
Nice. That is really good to hear.
And that's actually what kind of a little bit of what my story is going to be about when I get it done. I want to take this opportunity real quick, since we were just talking about this, to let people know, the people that are watching, the people that will watch, because these get pretty good reviews on them. When you're going to a con or something, guys, be cool to the people. We were talking about this last night. When I went to meet because I love going to cons and I love meeting people and I love to hear their stories. I got to sit and talk with Peter Mayhew for 45 minutes about, because it was the end of the con, about his experiences on Star Wars, and that's great. And then when I went to go meet Adam Baldwin from Firefly, his line was so long, and Corey Feldman was there too, and he had 2 big old bodyguards, and his line was long. They were there 4 or 5 hours after the con was supposed to be over, still trying, and they were tired.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're tired, and they're humans, and you go up to them, and they don't, if they're not, sometimes people are just having a hard day, and it's hard. Don't go up on the internet and blast them for being a jerk when that's not usually what happens. It's they're not at those cons because they don't like to talk to people.
Right. It is incredibly taxing, and I can't imagine having the kinds of lines that those guys do. It's exhausting because you want to give each person their individual attention and be really focused on them. But there comes a point when you haven't gotten to stop and get some lunch and your blood sugar's plummeting. This is experience. Sorry. You have to go to the bathroom, and you don't have anybody that can hold the line for you for a moment so you can go run. And so there's so much that can happen. Try and be patient. And I'm sure most of, people who are signing are trying to be patient too. But, they may be up against something, that nothing about. They may have a family member they just learned was dying at home. You don't know. So, but that goes for anything, whether it's somebody coming up to you, a fan coming to you, or something else. They may have an expectation of who you are and how you're going to respond to them. And, if you don't give them that, they might feel slighted. But we don't know what they're up against either. So we all just need to be gentle with each other.
Yeah. And this next point is mostly for the guys. When you're at the cons, guys, and you go to take a picture, I'm sure there are guy actors and celebrities too, that might get uncomfortable too. When you go to take a picture with a lady, don't grab her around her waist and hug her in. If you're going to do that pose, just kind of lightly put your hand there.
Right.
Over here. Give them their, don't make them feel uncomfortable, because, there are some people that don't mind, but there are people that do. I know, because they've told me. And it's like, they tell me, thank you for, when you did that. Or my wife and I met John Morrison and his wife at the time, or girlfriend at the time, Melina. And we got to take pictures, and I got to put my arm around her. She's a really nice looking woman. And she said, thank you for not, grab me and all, and it's like, it's be respectful and be, nice. And So 13 fanboy, back to that. As we talked about a little bit, we touched on a bit before, you got to work with some of the Womp Stomp crew. Vincent DeSanti, Andrew Lady, some of their stunt team, production team. What was it like working with them? Because
Vincent did his own stunt work. So Vincent, he's phenomenal. I really love working with him. I know Ben Meredith worked on Never Hike Alone, and he was our cinematographer, and really loved having him. And I'll keep working with him as long as he'll work with me. And same with Vincent and Andrew. They both are really fantastic. Vincent's a very good stunt person, and frankly, so is Andrew.
They're both very good.
Andrew Lady did some really great stunts for us. They both worked as actors, but they also worked and did some stunts for us, which was great. Yeah,
they're both in really good shape.
Right.
And, that definitely helps. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, it does.
And Andrew, when you watch Never Hike Alone, he was doing all that running around the what they call fast hiking or super hiking. Right. I like to hike. I don't run up a mountain.
No.
Even when I was in better shape, I didn't run up a mountain.
I hike. I'm with you. I hike. I don't run up mountains either.
Fanboy. Vincent told me that his favorite part in doing the movies is actually being behind the thing as the actor, and then doing the stunt work. He loves doing it.
Right.
And he's really good at it. He really is. And
Yep.
you know, he was also a great guy to talk to. I had a lot of fun with him as well.
He's a good man. I really enjoy having him on set. He's really great and helpful and, thoughtful. And yeah, I like him very much.
Well, I have one more question for you.
Okay.
And it's the same question I ask everybody. And in your case, it's going to be a little different because you're in Friday the 13th. So
Right.
the question I normally ask everybody is if you could, of course, in the movies, be killed by any of the big or just any horror person you want. It doesn't have to be the big five. It doesn't have to be Jason, Michael, Freddy. And in your case, it could be Jason because you actually weren't killed by Jason.
Right.
You were killed by Roy. I mean, so if you could have that death scene in any movie, any franchise, any universe of horror, what would it be and who would it be and how would it be?
I would go for Psycho.
Psycho?
The shower scene. Yeah, definitely. In fact, one of my great honors was I was included in a top 13 of not just Friday the 13th horror kills, but of all horror kills. And I was on the same list with Janet Leigh. I was like, okay, that's special.
That's so cool. I mean, Psycho, as any horror fan or just any film fan will tell you,
fabulous film. It's fabulous film.
It's fabulous and it's inspirational and it is inspired and copied. It has, been reproduced so many times. That shower scene alone, it gets put out in everything, in comedies, in dramas, in in cartoons. I've seen that. Bugs Bunny did the shower scene. It's great. So if you got a few minutes and you don't mind, would you like to take some questions from some people?
Sure, go ahead.
I've seen the bunch going through the chat. I've been keeping an eye on it. I'm not going to remember them all, guys. So you need to throw them out there because I'm not going to remember all those questions. Somebody asked me to ask you something about a Wolfie's Just Fine.
Oh yeah, yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? I don't know what that is.
John LaJoie, he played for 12 years Taco on the Fox TV show The League, and he created a music video that not only recreated my death scene, but came from his eyes as a little kid with two of his friends watching the scene in the basement and all of the emotions that they went through, from getting a crush on this young lady on the screen. She's an older woman to them. I'm going to say that he, the young man who played John LaJoie in the film or in the music video, was probably somewhere between 8 and 10. And then having her die, and he came from a religious family, and so he wasn't supposed to be seeing the scary movie in the first place. So he had all kinds of turmoil about it. It is absolutely a brilliant music video, and frankly, the whole concept needs to be a movie. It's brilliant.
That does sound really cool, and I'm gonna have to find that and check that out.
Yeah, look for Wolfie's Just Fine, A New Beginning, and you'll find it.
I'm gonna write that down. Oh, I'm gonna write that down. Monty G, Horror Miser Monty G, just wanted to say hello again.
Hi.
And I'd like to thank Monty for helping me get Ms. Voorhees on, because I actually reached out to you on Twitter. And I don't know if you even watch your Twitter anymore because there was like nothing on it forever. And
I don't. I keep trying to get on Twitter and Instagram, and I have the accounts, but I just don't do anything with them. I'm usually just on Facebook.
And see, that's the one that I don't use. I have an account, but I don't ever use it. I think my Instagram sends stuff over there when I do stuff on, but I just don't look at Facebook.
Right.
Trash Dash Danny B would like to know, do you have a favorite director or filmmaker yourself?
That's a tough one. There's so many that I really admire. I absolutely could not pick a single one. I have to say, the latest Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. The cinematography and the directing in that, I think, just were superb. And I can't remember the director's name, but it was different from the other Conjurings.
Right.
And the quality to me went way up. I really love that one. I'll tell you more of the films, particularly in the horror genre. Hush, the director of
Netflix Hush?
Yeah.
Oh, that's one of my favorites.
It's a great film.
So well directed. That guy, he also did Oculus and a few others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, just a great movie.
And then, of course, for the older ones, I love Alfred Hitchcock. I love that. There's just, and then for directors outside, I love like Kenneth Branagh's work, particularly his Much Ado About Nothing. He acted and directed in that. And but that's just a tiny list because my list is much bigger of directors that I really admire and love.
I think every filmmaker or aspiring filmmaker has that list.
Right.
And Kenneth Branagh's on mine as well. And I loved him a lot as an actor.
Oh, yeah.
I loved him in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Oh, yeah.
De Niro together was so good. And it's such an underrated film. It really is. It was Michael Chavez, by the way, that was The Conjuring. I had to check real quick.
Thank you.
Michael Chavez. Yeah. James Wan, to me, is also a great. I mean, this guy started with Saw, the small independent film that got exposure, and now he's one of the biggest directors on the planet. I mean,
right. So yes, cool, definitely. Yeah.
Let's see. I just saw a couple. Let's see. I was a teenager. I sent her. I'll ask. I don't know if she'll answer, but I'll ask. John, 80s horror fan, says when he was a teenager, he sent you a fan letter / marriage proposal. Wanted to know if you received that. And if so, what would you say? I think he's taken.
I don't think I've received that one. No, because I have not received a marriage proposal. But thank you. I am married now.
he's about my age, so it probably would have been like mid 90s when that got sent out.
Okay.
Let's see. Debbie, who would be your dream come true co-star, or who would be your dream come true to star as your co-lead in a movie, regardless of genre?
Oh, interesting. Oh boy, that would be tough. I have to say, in 13 Fanboy, I did get to play opposite Dee Wallace. I mean, that was pretty amazing. Nice. I really did love that. So, gosh, there's so many actors that would just be amazing to work with. I think for me, directing would be mostly what I would want to do, is to direct different people. But once again, that list is so long. But definitely, it was quite an honor to perform next to Dee Wallace. That was really special.
That's really cool. I always liked her a lot too.
She's amazing, and she's a very kind person too. I love her.
And she kind of, her and what the other girl that starred beside her and, or that starred beside her and Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. I always forget her name. I just forgot it.
Oh, I don't know.
They all get such a bad rap because of the dialogue between the three in that movie.
Oh,
And I always say that's how it was written, because Deborah Hill she knew what young girls talked like at the time, and that's how she wrote it.
Right.
And I just think that it's just cool. So let's see. While filming Friday Part 5, did you know that Jason would not be the killer?
No, we didn't know that.
Probably a good thing. It helps keep the
they can't let that info out.
Right. Well, nobody knew that Darth Vader was going to be Luke's father.
Right.
Even Luke didn't know till the scene, till he filmed it.
Right.
What's the weirdest thing you've been asked to do at an appearance? Or no, what's the weirdest thing she has been asked to do an appearance at?
I don't know. Actually, it'd probably be pre Friday the 13th, though, because I was worked as a Playboy bunny, but I was also asked to play Wonder Woman. So at a convention. So yeah, I dressed up as
like a cosplay kind of
that
deal.
was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was in a it was at I want to say, what was it, like a car show or something like that, you know. So it wasn't, yeah. So that was kind of funny. So nothing too terribly weird.
You know, I always feel really the most for those people in like Disneyland and stuff that have to play like Goofy and all in that super hot costume in the summer.
My
it's gotta
God,
be terrible.
I know. That has got to be so miserable.
We got a question here. Can you ask her what it was like to film Avenging Angel?
Avenging Angel. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed working with Betsy Russell on that. And, you know, when you're on a film set, it's just fun. If you're not having fun, you probably should go and get a different job, because it's fun. And, you know, it was fun just playing a hooker on the street, you know, something completely different than who I am.
What you are, exactly.
And so it was a blast.
You know, it's funny talking about what you are and who you are and the roles you play. When I was putting together the thumbnail for this interview, of course I choose one of the iconic shots of, you know, you from Friday the 13th. But then I chose this picture of you. It looks like you're sitting on your porch or somebody's porch. You got a glass of wine. And I love that picture because it's like, this is a person who obviously can enjoy simple, fine things.
Right.
And it just makes them happy. And I like that. So I thought it was the contrast between the character and you.
And me. Right.
So, we got one from Papa. He's asking, pretend that we are you at age 12. What would you tell your young self?
At age 12? Okay, several things. One, in 2010, buy as much Bitcoin as humanly possible, because I could have gotten it for about 5 cents. And let's see. After that, I think I pretty much had it. You know, I mean, there's probably a couple things I could have told myself, you know, to relax and enjoy the ride a little bit more. But honestly, I really did. There were a few times when I probably got a little bit too worked up and worried about things that happen in life. You know, the reality is bad things are always going to happen. The only control you have is how you respond to it. And the less serious that you take it and just understand this is just life, the better.
You know, I fully understand that. I felt that was my childhood too. Not my young childhood, but my, you know, because of all the bad things that were happening in my own life.
Right.
That I had to be serious and I had to be adult and I had to worry. And yes, of course I have children and I have to worry with my kids sometimes.
Right.
But there's the time for that. But there's also that I don't want to grow up anymore attitude. That's why I still watch Masters of the Universe. That's why I love horror. That's why, you know, it's
right.
There's time to be serious when I go to work, when I'm taking care of my kids. There's time for that. But inside you gotta have that energy, that childlike energy again.
Absolutely. See, I was also in a situation where I grew up fast and I had to have a lot of responsibility early on. But I have to say, I feel incredibly blessed to have had that. I feel like I am a much stronger person for it.
Yes.
So whereas I see some other people who had a little easier upbringing, things were, and they are, they're not as strong.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I can definitely understand.
You know,
and I think
it's getting darker in here. Am I too dark now?
No, you're okay.
I should have put another light in, and I apologize. I didn't.
the sun's moved around to the window and behind me or in front of me,
Mhm.
so it's actually getting lighter in here, and I think that might be why the contrast.
Okay.
But, we're just about done. We have one
Okay.
more question here. Do trick-or-treaters ever come to your house dressed as Jason?
Well, where I am, I don't get any.
Neither do we. Neither
But
do I.
yes, I have, when I go places, I definitely have seen,
Right.
Jason.
I was Jason twice.
Yeah, cool. Very cool.
Jason twice, and I did Michael just a couple of years ago. But I borrowed the jumpsuit from a friend, and he's a much smaller guy than me.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't get the jumpsuit zipped up all the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I called myself Michael after the buffet. Well, guys, if nobody has any more questions for Ms. Voorhees, I would like to let her go so she can get back to her day.
All right.
And I want to thank her so much for coming on, and thank you all for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. I truly appreciate it. And if there's nothing else, thank you, ma'am. I really do appreciate you coming by.
Thank you. I appreciate you spending some time with me. And thanks to everybody else. So y'all take care.
I'm going to end it, and we will see you guys later. Good night, everybody.
Good night.